It is important that the taxpayers of Mississauga knows what their taxes pay for. So therefore, this video is going to give you insight, because the calls I get on my TV show, etc., clearly indicates to me that it is confusing to the taxpayers as to what their tax bill really pays for. And so, I want you to know that the tax bill that the city sends out to you covers both the region appeal taxes, education taxes, and City of Mississauga. And 28% of your tax bill is the money that we receive at the city to provide you with all the many services that we provide you with. The balance of the tax bill is regional and education. So, it is important that you know, what do we do with the 28% of your tax bill? Well, first of all, let me give you a definition of property tax. The property tax was brought into being to service property, not humans. But the property tax today is serving both property and humans. So a major portion of your tax bill is for social costs, health, and education. Let me give you some examples of what we do with your 28% of the tax bill. We have 66,000 acres, 6,600 acres of parkland that we've acquired over the years that must be maintained. We have 12 community centers that our children and adults, seniors enjoy in the city. We have 18 libraries that are providing library service, so essential to the education of our children and to those going to university and college, that can use not only our community libraries, but our central library, which, by the way, has the largest circulation. I don't know if it's this year, but in recent past years, has the highest circulation in Canada. We have transit service that has greatly increased over the years. And the cost of operating the transit is on your property tax, because the revenue from transit does not cover the cost of transit. In 2010, we installed 17 kilometers of new sidewalks, 4.5 kilometers of roads, and 4.5 kilometers of trails, and 10.5 kilometers of roads. Well, they all need to be maintained. We provide an excellent fire service. One of the reasons that our fire service is so important to the taxpayers of Mississauga, and that it be of high caliber, is because your insurance premiums are dependent on the fire protection that is provided in the municipality. And because of our fire protection being so good, your insurance premiums are lower. If it wasn't that good, your insurance premiums would be higher. Many of the things that you pay for are uncontrollable costs. So I asked our staff to break down the budget into controllable costs and uncontrollable costs. Well, one of the largest portions of our budget is for wages. And that's about 70% of the budget that we adopt is for wages. And we have a number of unions. We have the fire union, we have the works union, we have the library union, etc. And we must negotiate with them their increases, their fringe benefits, etc. And all the union agreements that were signed for 2009 and 10 were at 3% increase to the members of the union. Now, all those agreements are up for negotiation this year, and of course, we will try to negotiate a more reasonable increase than the 3%. You can rest assured. But remember, the fire department, and at the region, the police department, cannot go on strike. So if we can't get an agreement with them, they can go to arbitration. And our experience with arbitration has been extremely poor. Not just the city of Mississauga, but all municipalities across Ontario have been very unhappy with the arbitration awards that have been granted. In fact, the province just experienced one in which the nurses went to arbitration and they won what they wanted. And so, therefore, fire and police and ambulance goes to arbitration. We're asking the province to lay down. All the mayors of the large urban mayors that I'm chairman of have asked the province to look at the arbitration guidelines. They do not take into account the ability not only of the municipality to pay, but the ability of the taxpayers to pay for their requirements. Some social costs at the region have been lifted. I was on the task force, the financial task force that was set up by the province, to see how we could upload some of the social health costs to the province that the former government under Mr. Harris downloaded to the municipalities. Are you aware that social housing is on your property tax? It is the only province in the country, in this great country of Canada, that social housing is at the local level. All other provinces kept it at the provincial level. So that is a burden on your tax bill. Yes, it's been a difficult budget year. And we have had 8 meetings of budget. And I want to congratulate the members of council who spent a lot of time involved in trying to work with the staff and ask many, many questions of staff to come back with figures and to look at this item and that item to see how. Now, before even the staff brought the budget forward, they had gone through a very intense analysis of the budget. Not just this year, they have been doing it every year, in which they come forward with a report that indicates the savings that they've been able to manage on the budget of past years. So it's not something new that we came up with because there's an economic downturn. We've been doing that for years. And yes, there were years that we did not increase the taxes, but those were the years when we had major surpluses in our budget. I remember one year, I think it was $22 million surplus. And so instead of giving a tax break at that, we kept the taxes. We did not increase them. But we put all that money into reserves. And that's why today we are still debt-free and have money in the reserves, but the reserves are going down. There's no question about it. And down the road, not too long down the road, maybe 2013 or 14, we will have to borrow money for our capital costs. Each year we have transferred, though, over the years, a major portion, a major amount of money from the operating budget to the capital budget. And that's why we've been able to remain debt-free. So it has been a tough year. But let me talk about some of the uncontrollable costs. For instance, OMER's pension plan for the employees were increased this year. We have no control over that. And that was over $1 million added to the budget this year. Mandating of equipment in our buses so that there will be an announcement of the bus stops. That was mandated. There's so many things, changes in legislation, the accessibility legislation, which is wonderful legislation to allow people that are challenged to use our buses and to use our buildings. Who would want to be against it? Well, it is a burden on the budget because we must be assured that all our buildings are fully accessible, that our transit system is fully accessible. So as a result, that is a problem. There's revisions to the building code coming up, and we don't know what impact that is going to have on the budget of our city. The province, you see, we are children of the province, and we must put into operation any legislation that affects our citizens. Do you know that your property tax pays for court security in our region? In other words, our Peel Regional Police polices the courts, the provincial courts. I don't know why the province doesn't use the OPP for the security in their courts, but our police. A couple of years ago, I asked for the cost of that, and on the police budget, it was $12 million for court security. That's on your property tax. You know, it is unfortunate that the citizens aren't aware of the breakdown of the tax bill, as well as the uncontrollable costs that we are called upon to implement. Now, we have decided through our strategic plan that we are going to become a major public transit operation in Mississauga, that we're going to put everything that we can into public transit. We put all the gas tax that we get from both the federal and provincial government, that goes into public transit, because we believe, you know, yes, it's good to get people out of their cars, but we must take into consideration the large percentage of our population that don't drive a car, especially the young people. Young people have to get to university, that we now have a university in our city, and shortly we will have Sheridan College here, so that the students can attend university and college right in their own city. So we must provide the transit as much as we can to make sure that those students have public transit to get to Sheridan College and to get to the Mississauga campus of the University of Toronto. So that is not a controllable, that is not a mandated or legislated, that's the desire of the council and the staff, and especially the transit division, to provide adequate transit for our people. We added 22 acres of parkland to our city this year, even though we have 6,600 acres of parkland, because people want parkland. We subsidize the Living Arts Center. Yes, they do a wonderful job at the Living Arts Center in managing it, but we supply the maintenance to the Living Arts Center. And so it's on your property tax.